What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's video. Welcome to the VGFightSchool channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. So today we're going to be talking about something that I seem to think is on the minds of our audience members and even people outside of the community surrounding Gotham Knights, and that's the price point. So eventually, when this game kind of first showed up, it was one of these games where people were kind of checking out to see what was going on. And the game was actually planned to come out in the PS4 and the Xbox One generation of consoles, as well as the new gen consoles. But then somehow, all of that got canceled, and the game is now a current gen game. And this is something that has not necessarily had to bode well for the development, the marketing, and the just all of the different PR for the game. Another really interesting thing too is, regardless of all of that, nobody really is saying anything to the fans in a little bit more detail to give a little bit of understanding. It's us, the fans, that have had to kind of come up with possible, reasons as to why they would decide to put aside a possible 100 and something million possible consoles that are just there to be able to get their eyes on this game. I mean, think about it. Even if only 70% of PlayStation 4s are online and can see the PlayStation Store, do you know how many potential customers they could have just had the game sitting in front of when they actually scroll through? So I don't think it's something that they did because, they didn't want to make money, as some have already said. I think it was just an unfortunate aspect of things. But now we're coming to this point where this game right now is going to be releasing on these new consoles, and its base price on the console is actually around $70, which leads me to an article that I got to see today that was titled "The Age of the $70 Game Begins This Fall." This is an article written by Zach Zwiesen in Kotaku, and I wanted us to go through the article and, take a look at a few things because, I would love to hear your thoughts in the audience, just how it is you're approaching this new price tag that you get to see in video games across the board, and most especially Gotham Knights. So the article starts out, it says, the year is wrapping up, and that means we are nearing the busiest time of video game releases. And even though COVID-19 has thrown a wrench in the entire industry and led to numerous delays, a few big games are still launching in the next few weeks. But if you want to enjoy them, you'll need to fork over $70 or more as publishers begin transitioning into a new, more expensive era of gaming. Video games becoming more expensive isn't entirely surprising, since at least 2020, companies like Sony have made it clear that moving forward, game prices will be going up from 60 to 70. But it's still worth noting, as many big games this year released at 60 or less, that a majority of biggest games coming out this fall and into early next year will now cost more, even on older consoles. Here are all the games launching in the next few months, blah, 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 blah. So if you go back and look through the list, you'll see that for the fall releases, you're looking at Gotham Knights, which is launching around $70, Call of Duty a little bit more, God of War even at that price point, Callisto Protocol, I haven't even really necessarily taken a very close look at the price at this time. Now, one of the things that is being cited, there are various reasons for these increased prices, from inflation to more expensive and longer development cycles to good old-fashioned greed. Whatever the reason behind the price increase, it seems to be here to stay, and it's also becoming clear that publishers aren't interested in offering free next-gen upgrades anymore or lower prices on the PS4 and Xbox versions. Ladies and gentlemen, this article is written from a very interesting perspective. I don't want to make fun of anybody, but here's the way things work in real life. Demand and supply are as old as the existence of human civilization, or even when humans were not, in quote, yet civilized. If there is a demand, the sales and the prices are always going to stay high. But if there is no demand, then you're more than likely going to see that prices are going to almost always fall, regardless of the commodity that it is. And usually, because of this, you're in a position where sometimes a lot of these console manufacturers, and this is why they want to continue to keep you in the ecosystems, and why I decided I was going to diversify and break away from staying as a PlayStation fan, or at least as an exclusively PlayStation player, is because I started to see this trend actually creep up a long time ago. Not necessarily the trend of games costing a little bit more, but just the trend of seeing that once you're locked into an ecosystem, it appeared that these publishers or console manufacturers could do what it is that they wanted. Remember, in this article, the writer said it was Sony who informed people that these prices were going up, meaning it might be that the publisher is actually increasing the cost that it takes to put the games on their platforms. And then the what's their name? The game publishers themselves, this is Sony and Microsoft, and the game publishers who are like Warner Brothers, Ubisoft, and so on and so forth, are probably transferring that cost to us, the customers. Because whether or not that, journalist is writing that long development cycles or whatever, that doesn't mean jack. These games are not taking much longer to make. They are being made in the same amount of time that it takes them to make games that came out like in 2016. Please, let's not do that. Because if you think about games like Tom Clancy's The Division was actually first shown very early, somewhere I think around 2013 was when the game first kind of surfaced. And then if you go back to its development, it probably took about 6-7 years. Nothing more than what Gotham Knights has taken, if not less. Red Dead Redemption 2, the game came out having been in development for about 8 years. So I think this is more of a publisher thing than anything else. Now, it could also be that the developers themselves and, the other publishing companies of the video games are somewhat trying to also cash in on this. It could be that maybe the price was increased by $5 and then they decided we're just going to throw in another $5 there. And in order for me to be able to get rid of this kind of mindset, I decided that I was going to add PC to my library and even get an Xbox. For the first time since the Xbox One consoles had come out, I've kept an Xbox console for about a year. I don't play it as much, but I have my Xbox Series X because Game Pass offers me a way to bypass these prices as well. And I think this is what stemmed into this area where Gotham Knights really got the heavy scrutiny, because a lot of people saw this game, which was not developed as a next-gen game, but was perceived as a next-gen game. And everyone saw it and said, if you're going to be coming out on this, next generation of consoles, you really need to bring something to the table other than just saying you're bringing a game that Batman is dead and so on and so forth. And I think this is one of the reasons that Gotham Knights got a lot of heavy criticism, because the price point basically was one of those things that really did surprise a lot of people in regard to a game like this. So as things stand right now, it could also be that here in the community of gamers, a lot of people are looking for ways to just wait for games like this to also go down in prices. That's another thing that we're going to be seeing. The faster these games are coming out with a $70 price tag, the faster they're going to be discounted. Already there have been some discounts on Gotham Knights from the from the PlayStation side at the Amazon.co.uk and Amazon Australia websites, because I don't think those prices were inspiring a lot of pre-orders. And on the PC side, the prices have remained the same, and even still on some stores, the prices have been discounted as well, because on those platforms, especially on the PC and Epic Games and stuff, that's Steam, Epic Games, and so on and so forth, demand is not necessarily that high, because PC gamers, their behavior is actually very different from a console gamer. This is something that we can dive into in terms of, the differences from, just some trends that I followed. But I think this is one of the reasons that here PlayStation and Microsoft just feel like they can do whatever it is that they actually want to. This was actually my primary reason for actually getting it on PC. I was like, I'm not paying $70 for anything right now. And Hogwarts Legacy is actually still $70 on Steam. But don't worry, as the game is coming out, they're going to see that a lot of PC players are probably going to be going and looking at the game like, nah. And they're probably going to give us a little bit of a discount, because there are a lot of different vendors that are selling Steam keys as well and as Epic Game keys. So there's a little bit of competition that really does help make the price shake down a little bit. I wish we had more competition in, the console space, and we had more console manufacturers. I think this would have really helped a little bit, but it just seems like we're boxed in, because as much as Sony and Microsoft pretend like they're going to be fighting one another, it hadn't been since, till this generation anyways, that we've really seen some real competition out there. So I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. What has been your biggest obstacle when you look at the price for Gotham Knights? Is it the price, or is it the quality of the game for the price, or is it the console generation of game for the price? Let me know in the comment section. I really appreciate you guys' time and audience, and hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.